Hello, hello. I'm Andre. Let's talk Stashdown Summer School. If this is the first time you see anything about Stashdown Summer School, this is a make-along that I'm hosting throughout the summer. It started June 1st and it is ending August 28th. You can join at any time. There is a registration form, which I will link below. I am posting occasional kind of monthly-ish videos here. We are posting things on Instagram with the hashtag Stashdown Summer School, but also please tag me. I am Osteo Knits. And there is a Ravelry group. Now I will have as many of the relevant links in the little bio here. We are challenging each other to knit from our stash, finish our whips, and resist the bright new shiny things. Yeah. It has been great so far. We are over a month in, like over 30% through the whole thing. And our June theme was quick wins and single skeins. And it seems like that has been quite a success. A lot of people have been finishing stuff up, myself included. There have been many toes added onto socks. Garments have been finished. Lots of gift knits knocked out. People are staying on top of mystery knit-alongs. It's been great. And I'm so thankful to everyone who has joined in, who's been posting, who's been messaging me. It has been so fun to connect with other people who have similar goals with their crafting. So myself, I have finished 6 whips, so 2 shawls, a pair of socks, a gnome, a cardigan, and a hat. I also finished a skein of hand spun, and that has basically more or less cut my whip list into half. And that was kind of the goal, not just for myself personally, but for everyone, to try to whittle down that whip list, try to get those things that were close to being finished, maybe try to tackle things you've been putting off that really weren't too bad, and now it's done. I know I feel like a weight lifted off of my shoulders. There's so much less to worry about. There's so much more room in my whip basket. So that's great. For the July theme, since we've knocked out the quick wins, now we're getting into deep stash and long-term projects. So here, and I've posted on Instagram, I couldn't resist. I had a little archaeology theme where we're excavating into our craft stashes. I've got a post that should be up today about examining the stratigraphy of your stash. Yeah, I mean, I'm an archaeologist. I had to have fun with it, okay? So what we're doing in July, optional. You can do what you want, but the theme is deep stash and long-term projects. So what I am encouraging you to do, and what I'll be doing myself, is looking at your oldest whip or UFO, unfinished object, if it has been in hibernation for quite a while, dig it out, pick it up, and evaluate what the next step should be. Maybe consider, how long has it been that I started this? Why did I start it? What was my intention out of it? And does that still hold through? Maybe you started a garment 10 years ago that doesn't even fit anymore. Maybe you can gift it to somebody else, but evaluate what is the appropriate next step. You don't necessarily have to finish it. Maybe even decide, do I want to continue on this, or do I want to frog it? We've already had at least one frog happen. this month. So, explore your oldest whip. Some don't have old whips. So we've had some in the group who don't tend to have big, huge whip piles. Like, all the power to you. I wish I could do that, but that just doesn't seem to be how I function. I'll talk about what I'm working on in a bit. So our oldest whip, or UFO, depending how you define it, take it out of hibernation, evaluate it, decide what's next for it. Other thing that we can do, look at our oldest yarn, fiber, craft material, and either cast it on or make plans for it. So maybe it's a special skein that you've been holding on to, waiting for the perfect project, and it just hasn't come along. Well, if it's been sitting in your stash for a while, let's try to find that perfect project for it. And if you don't have a very old whip or old stash on hand, some people are really good at keeping a minimal stash. What I'm encouraging is picking up a more kind of long-term project, something that can't be just dashed off in a weekend. Things like garments, blankets, items that require complex techniques like color work or lace. So these things that take a little bit of extra attention. Try to devote at least a regular amount of time towards making progress on it. And that can be discouraging because it feels like it takes forever. Try to break it down into smaller mini milestones, not just, I have an entire blanket I need to do, but rather if it's in like squares, for example, getting 1 square done a week, right? And celebrate those little mini milestones. Even getting 1 square done a week is better than nothing. It is some progress, right? So we're not getting those quick little dopamine fixes anymore this July, but trying to work on these things that we can move forward and maybe have been sitting around. So for my own things that I'm working on this month, I have pulled out my oldest, I call it a whip. It probably should be called a UFO. It had been in hibernation for, I think, 6 years. So I started keeping like a regular knitting journal where I keep track of my projects and my progress in 2022. This had been in hibernation at that point. So I think I started it in 2020 and likely in early 2020. So the project I'm talking about is the Letters Home Shawl by Larissa Brown. And I am knitting it using various scraps that I have. They are almost entirely Baroque vintage DK. So these are leftovers from, I had made one of the Geek Along blankets and held on to all the scraps, and I'm incorporating it in this. I just randomly switch out colors when I get to a different section or when I run out of them. And I'm not 100% following the pattern. There are provisions in the pattern to kind of go and alter it where you want. So yeah, like I said, I think I started this in 2020. And I'm not 100% sure why I abandoned it. I think for most people, 2020 was a fairly busy year. I know myself, I bought my house in April 2020 and then had to move while we were in lockdowns and figuring out what was going on with COVID-19. So it was a pretty crazy time. And that might be why I abandoned this. Because I must have started it at the beginning of 2020 and then with the move and everything just abandoned it. And then never picked it up again. Because I had gotten to kind of this point where the pink is when I abandoned it. So I have picked it back up. I figured out where I was. We had to do a little bit of wonky math, but it is progressing. This, for the longest time, I figured I was going to frog, but as I was rewinding all of my balls of yarn, there they are, I decided I wanted to finish it. It is a pretty neat pattern. It was written for an advent, but given that I have so many colors of these scraps, I figured this would be great. It's so old that I don't even have a proper project bag for it. Yeah. So that is my oldest project out of hibernation officially and getting some progress on it. I've also pulled out my oldest skein from my stash. So this is older than that project. It's actually 2 skeins, I think, all rolled into one ball. It is a lovely Donegal tweed. Tweed again. Yeah. And I ordered this in 2013. I remember I was living in Winnipeg at the time while doing my PhD. I don't know how I got on to ordering Donegal tweed. I mean, being a grad student is a very weird and lonely time, and yeah. This was around the time where I was really getting into knitting. During my PhD, I really kind of rediscovered knitting and started buying more kind of quality yarn. And that's when that came in. I am pretty sure somewhere, if I dig into one of my hard drives, I've got like a very crappy webcam picture of myself excitedly holding the skein of yarn. So my plan for this is a cowl. I'll have to see once I cast it on. I did do a swatch, but my plan is a hot spiced cider cowl by Helen Stewart. It's got baubles and cables. It is written for, I think it's a DK, either DK or a fingering and mohair, maybe, but the gauge was worsted. Anyways, my gauge swatch was fine, and like, it is a single ply. It is kind of worsted Aran, but it's not a consistent diameter all throughout. Anyways, if it doesn't work, I'll frog it and try something different. But at least for the time being, that's my plan. Obviously, I've clearly not cast it on yet. But at least having worked with basically the same yarn last month, I have an idea as to how it operates. The other thing I've been working on, so because July, we also have Tour de Fleece going on. One thing I started last year is to, while I'm spinning, also knitting with my hand spun. And this is yarn that I spun up last year during Tour de Fleece. Well, I had started it earlier, but I finished everything up. I think I actually finished plying and everything after the tour had finished. But this has been what I've been working on for the last week or so. The scarf has grown quite a bit. I am doing the father-in-law scarf. It is largely garter with these little slip stitch columns. And I'm really happy with how it's working out. This was fiber from a local alpaca farm, and the alpaca is named Star. It had a mixture of this sort of chestnutty brown and the white, and I just spun it at random. So we have a nice mixture of the natural colors from the alpaca. And it's so soft that I thought it would be perfect for the next to skin nature of a scarf. I can't remember the last time I knit a scarf. It might have been in 2013, actually. No, I made another one after. I lied. I made a temperature scarf after that. But I don't frequently knit scarves, partly because I always feel like they take forever. I mean, I have advanced quite a bit as a knitter since I last made a scarf, and this has just been flying off of my needles. Partly it's kind of a worsted-ish weight. Also, it is fairly quick and easy to do. So it's been a very good mindless knit lately. Yeah. Here's the rest of this skein, and I do have a second one. So that's what I'm working on during this month. I don't necessarily expect to finish anything. I mean, if I actually start the cowl, it would be really nice to finish that. And at the rate that I've been working on this scarf, maybe. But I have no actual expectations to finish anything. With Tour de Fleece, I'm participating in Melly Knits' Stash Dashers group. So the entire point of Stash Dashers is to spin from our stash, which aligns quite well with Stashdown Summer School. So that's also great. I'm mostly focused right now on finishing up my ongoing knits, or my ongoing spins. And I mean, I do have some fiber in the mail, but yeah, I do have quite a lot of fiber stash to spin up. So yeah. So those are my plans for the July theme. As I said, the theme is purely optional. It is absolutely flexible. Some people just don't hold on to whips like others do. Some keep a minimal stash, you know. So as long as you're in the spirit of what we're doing, working on your ongoing projects, working from stash, that is totally fine. You know, if you have a test knit that you want to work on, if you're, you know, getting into gift knitting for winter months, it's all good, right? It's not a very strict, there's not a lot of rules going on here. Yeah. Okay, so if you finish this up, please let me know, what is your oldest whip and how old is it? Do you know what your oldest yarn or fiber is in your stash? And are you going to try to get it done this month? I look forward to seeing what everybody is working on and what you get done in this next month. All right, well, take care and happy crafting.